Greetings, Richland. Only a few short days ago, none of us could have anticipated that we would be communicating with you in this setting, and the events have unfolded in the last days in our world, in our country, in our own local church. But we just felt a need, because we were not able to meet last week and anticipate at least for 2 more weeks we won't be able to gather together collectively. We'll reevaluate that after that time, but we just wanted a way to speak into your lives a bit and to attempt to give you some informative kinds of things that will help you and help us to communicate with you. So I appreciate Pastor Jason and all the work that he's done to put this venue together. He's spent a lot of hours trying to find the best ways and the best tools. And so this is our first attempt at attempting to communicate with you, and we'll hopefully, Lord willing, do this on a regular basis over the next days and weeks, and help us all to just stay a bit more connected in this way. What I want to do now is just speak into your lives a little bit, and then Pastor Jason is going to take the remainder of the time and just give you some information that would be helpful, some ways in which you can connect to some of the things that we'll be attempting to distribute out to you to be helpful. So as we talk about speaking into your lives, I thought a lot this week about our study in the Psalms that we have been participating in, a class that I teach before morning worship every Sunday morning. A few weeks ago, as we're walking through the Psalms and learning how to better understand the Psalms, better interpret the Psalms, better to have the Psalms minister to us, we were in Psalm 94 that particular morning. And in Psalm 94, the psalmist is looking around at all of the circumstances around him, and he's beginning to get uneasy by what he sees, and even a bit fretful and a bit discouraged. And what we find in that psalm is the remedy that, in the conclusion that he comes to, in essence, about all of that. And it has to do with coming to understand the blessedness of understanding. There's 2 different places where it talks about that. It talks about the blessedness and it talks about the understanding. But as you put those together, he really is talking about the blessedness of understanding. And what he means by that is, as he looks at the events around him that he doesn't understand, he understands there's a larger understanding that he needs to see and look through, a God-centered understanding of those unfolding events. And so he, in that psalm, says and declares to us there's a blessedness of that kind of understanding. As we walk through these days, my hope, my prayer really is that we as a church would have that and know that blessedness of that kind of understanding in the midst of uncertain times. And how I hope that will come to fruition in our lives is we'll begin to remember some things. Not that they will be new things necessarily, but we'll be reminded of things that hopefully we already know, but that we really need to remember during this time. And I just want to share quickly 3 of those things with you here today, and I'm hoping that it will help us in this time. The first thing that I would hope would be a part of our understanding as a church body is the fact that this is a broken world. And so in one sense, although we need to be careful how we say it, this should not surprise us. It certainly is different. It certainly is unique. And the word I hear the most, it's unprecedented. And that is all true. But it ought not to surprise us that the world is broken. The world is broken because of my sin, your sin, the collective sin of mankind. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and we're responsible for the brokenness that we're experiencing. And the world is broken. It is in the process of being restored, I think. In the beginning, God said, and he looked out on his creation and he declared it's very good. It was very good. I've said often to my congregation in different settings that I think we have no idea of what he saw. In fact, if you think of the sweetest memory you can remember in your life, I would say to you that even that pales in comparison to what God saw when he declared it was very good. And if that pales, certainly the brokenness that comes was not part of that original design that God had. And the hope of the Christian is that that's where we're headed, back to that kind of a world, new heavens and a new earth that will once again be very good, and there won't be any brokenness, but not yet. The kingdom has come, but the kingdom has not fully come. We live in the now and not yet. The now of the coming, the beginning, and one day it will be fully inaugurated, but not yet. And so, because it's broken, this is what I hope flows out of an understanding that it's a broken world when it comes to us, that there would be a sense in our lives of mourning, that we would know the experience of mourning in the midst of feeling this brokenness. Again, in the New Testament, in fact, the words of Jesus, the teaching of Jesus in the Beatitudes, he declares again a blessedness, but this time he says, "Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted." And so it's in mourning that we find comfort. And what does that mourning look like? I think first the mourning is a mourning that we, in these kind of times, all of us find that sometimes we put too much hope in things that we ought not have put hope in. And we stood too strongly on things that ultimately give way. And probably all of us have experienced that to some degree or another. And part of that mourning is really acknowledging that it won't hold us, and we need to look to the one who will. We need to look to the one who promises what he can deliver, and that he will be a refuge and a strength and a very present help in trouble. And so I hope, first of all, that mourning leads us to let go of the things that can't help us and look to the one who can. And really, when we look to the wrong places, what that is sin. So in essence, we're mourning over our sin, the idols that we held in our hands that didn't produce what we called on them to do. And so it causes us to look away to our God. And then I hope there's also a bit of mourning in the fact that we have taken gathering together for granted as a people. All of us, to some degree, take it for granted that every Sunday, the first day of the week, the Lord's Day, we can gather as a church body. In fact, I was just recently at a conference in another city with a group of pastors, and we were meeting in a church, and the pastor of that particular church told us that they describe a regular attender in their congregation as a person who comes one Sunday every 6 weeks. Now, I think we maybe do a little better than that, but we still fall short. We still all, I think, have been guilty of taking gathering together as a church body, a core value that we say we have, for granted. And I hope one of the things that flows out of this, Lord willing, as we're able to gather together again, is that we will not take it for granted as we go forward. So, first of all, an understanding that life is broken. This shouldn't totally surprise us. And then, secondly, I think we need to remember that God is still in control. The scripture that helps me often is the scripture that says God neither slumbers nor sleeps. And what I take away from that is I have to sleep. I'm finite. I'm dependent on him. And therefore, I can go a while. I can go less than I used to be able to go, but eventually I have to sleep. But God doesn't sleep. And what that means is he's not dependent on anyone else. That's what the word sovereign means. He's the sovereign God of the universe. He's overall. One man described that sovereignty as the fact that not one molecule in this universe is out of his control. What God purposes will happen. None of his purposes will be thwarted, the scripture says. What he ordains comes to pass. And one of the things God has ordained from all eternity past is to save a people, to redeem a people for himself. And that purpose is still moving forward. God is still in control. And then finally, what I'd like to leave with you today is that God who neither slumbers nor sleeps, is all-powerful, the sovereign God of the universe, can be trusted. And the thing that helps me to know that maybe the best of anything in all of Scripture is the doctrine of the incarnation. It's what we celebrate at Christmas time, that God entered into our world. The God, second person of the Trinity, Jesus Christ, who was fully God from all eternity past, some 2,000 years ago, became fully man as well. And for all eternity future, he will be both fully God and fully man. But the purpose of him becoming fully man, it tells us in the book of Hebrews, was so that he might taste death for those he came to redeem. It says to me, the incarnation, that the God of all creation, the God who neither slumbers nor sleeps, the all-powerful sovereign God of the universe, didn't stay away from the brokenness. He entered fully into it, and he experienced that brokenness as he lived perfectly, he died perfectly, and died a horrendous death on the cross in order to accomplish purpose, to redeem a people. I can trust a God like that. I can trust a God even though I don't have all of the answers of the whys of life and the circumstances of life as they occur around me. I can trust a God who entered fully into it, experienced it fully, and did it for a people that he came to save. And you can trust him too. One of the things I would do to direct you is to if you've missed some of our messages as we've walked through the book of Romans over the last year or so, they're all on our webpage. And what Romans is about is what Jesus Christ accomplished when he tasted death. We talk often, and we've covered it often as we've walked through Romans, that he provided a righteousness for us. The book of Romans, really the central theme of it is Paul saying, I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it's the power of God to salvation to everyone who believes, first for the Jew and then the Gentile. For in the gospel, a righteousness is revealed. A righteousness is accomplished for all who are willing to trust Jesus Christ for it. And the amazing thing about it is the double exchange that we've talked about as we've walked through this series. The fact that what we exchange for that righteousness is Jesus paying the penalty of our sin. In other words, Jesus takes our sin, which he didn't commit, which gets imputed from us to him, and in exchange for that, a righteousness that we didn't accomplish, that doesn't belong to us, is imputed to us or credited to our account. So the sin that we committed is credited to his account. He pays the penalty. And the righteousness that he accomplished by dying, yes, but by perfectly living, perfect righteousness that he accomplished is given to us. And it's as though he puts a robe of righteousness over us in exchange for our sin. That's what the book of Romans is about. That's the glorious message that Paul was declaring to the Romans. And maybe it would be helpful to you if you've missed some of those messages, or maybe you're new to our church and could start from the beginning and just listen to that glorious message of that righteousness that God provides for us and that he accomplished in his death on the cross. Church, we love you, and we're looking forward to the day when we can gather again together, Lord willing, in not too long a time. In the meantime, we'll continue to communicate like this, and Pastor Jason has some ways in which we can attempt to try to stay connected during these days, so I'm going to turn to him to share that.
As Pastor Ron mentioned, we hope that you miss being together. We really do want to meet with you. We prefer that. We do not prefer this. This is not the same for us. And so first we want to just say that some of what we're going to show you and walk through are really just compromises to what we really think is the best way for our church to gather together. And so we don't anticipate that these kinds of things will be the same as when we gather. We're not gonna like them just as much, but we hope that they might be able to help to give you hope, to strengthen your soul, to encourage your soul during this time. I just want to walk through some of the logistics of how that's going to work. We have a website, richlandchurch.org, and we're going to push lots of our information through that website. This video, hopefully you found it on the website. as well, and there will be lots of other information coming there in these next days. So I hope that you'll take some time just to look there, to turn there, to find the information that you need on our website. We also have some social media accounts. We have a Twitter account, we have a page on Facebook. We're going to continue to push things there as well. There's a number of articles and blogs and ministries that have things going on during this time that we think are helpful for you, and so we're going to send some of those things through that social media feed. We also would love to have you connect on those feeds as well. Take some time to put messages on there, to share together as a church body. That might be a way for us to just build some community together through those social media things. So we would love to have you connect through Twitter and Facebook, as well as on our webpage. We also, on our webpage and in an email that you should be receiving today with this video, we're including a list of churches, some churches that regularly broadcast their weekend services. We think they do it well. We think that you'll find God-glorifying and edifying messages there. And so we've put together just a small list of churches. If you're looking for a place to worship on Sunday morning, that might be the place to do it while we're not able to gather together. You'll find that list of churches in that email and on the website. We also have an online giving platform on our website. Our church gives generously every week, and we are so grateful for that. And some of you have asked, how can we give during this time that we're not able to gather? And so we have put together a list of options, and you'll find it on our website. We hope that you'll look at that. We also are going to have some virtual activities. We have one for our youth group tomorrow, Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. We're going to gather together just in a video conference call and connect together. We're going to play some games, and we're just going to check on each other and make sure we're doing all right and visit together. And we may have some more of those youth group activities as well as some other church activities throughout this time that we're not able to gather together. So again, be watching our website for that. Be watching our social media feeds. And as always, we're going to continue to email and make phone calls. And so if you have not been receiving any emails from us, you do not get our calls when we make calls through our database, we would love to get your information. If you'd like to be included in those things, you can contact us at office@richlandchurch.org, and we'll try to make sure you get included in all of those things so that you don't miss out on anything that we're pushing through. So again, we think these might help us in these times, but we know that they are not the same as gathering together. And so we want you to know that we're looking forward to you coming back and for us joining together again for worship as a body.
Thank you, Pastor Jason. God bless you, church. We miss being together. We anticipate doing that again, and we hope it's soon. Blessings on you.